Mary Grayson said evenly. "My own old nanny has lost her husband and has no means of support in her old age. I have written and told her that I want her here. She is very proud and would not accept charity even from me, so I promised her she should take care of the children. You see the position in which I find myself?" "Yes," Pamela said quietly, looking sadly at the two solemn-faced boys. "I can understand that you are faced with a difficult decision. When do you want me to leave?" The other woman shrugged. "Any time you like," she said. "There is no rush as long as you're gone before the old woman arrives in a fortnight or so." Pamela had determined to put on as brave a front as possible, and with a wan smile had said, "Of course I shall miss the children, and the special kindnesses you have shown me." Mary Grayson's plain but kind face was grave. "I have enjoyed having you with us, and I most heartily agree the children will miss you, but I think that it might be wiser to have an older woman looking after them." Her eyes met Pamela's with a meaning gleam. "You do see that there is wisdom in my plan?" Pamela nodded miserably. "Yes, of course, and I hope it works out well." "I'm sure that it will," the other woman had said. "I'll write out your reference at once, and whenever you have found suitable new employment, you may leave without notice." And with that, she had daintily picked up the folds of her flowing skirt and made her way back downstairs again, leaving Pamela to adjust to the cruel blow fate had just dealt her. The rain swept the window once more, and she thought how much her drab life resembled the gray, unhappy afternoon. She had been born in the Midwest, where her parents had perished in a riverboat fire when she was only 3 years old. She had been staying with a spinster friend of the family, who promptly claimed Pamela as a ward. The years passed, and the spinster came into a small legacy from a Boston relative, and so came east to live in the old city. It was in Boston that Pamela had grown up and received her schooling, and in the first years there, she had enjoyed private schools and the best of everything. But bad investments wiped out the spinster's small means and broke her health. During Pamela's last years in school, they had a struggle to make ends meet. Then the spinster died suddenly within a month of Pamela finishing her education. She had been forced to go to the Graysons as a governess, and had been glad to get the position. There were not too many openings in the year 1884 for a young woman of education with a refined background. She thought herself lucky to get the post, and she discovered she had a knack and natural liking for children. The 2 years in the mansion had gone by swiftly enough, and she had been happy until Henry Grayson had begun his campaign of advances. Now, because of his lack of consideration, she had lost this fine position, and she had no idea where she might locate another. Perhaps there was an agency she could visit that would help her in her dilemma. Another gust of wind and rain assailed the stout brick house, and the blaze in the black marble fireplace wavered in mad indecision. It was then her attention was attracted by the appearance of a black hack drawn by a single chestnut horse that came clattering along the wet cobblestones of the street. The driver, in battered top hat and shabby coat, held the reins loosely from his perch high at the rear of the hackney. For some strange reason, the sight of the somber vehicle on the deserted street gave her an eerie feeling. Perhaps because it looked so much like the single vehicle that had followed her guardian's hearse to the lonely graveyard on another memorably sad afternoon. She was about to turn away from the window when, to her surprise, the hackney came to a halt outside the mansion. She watched with interest as its door was flung open and a tall male figure in dark Homburg and flowing black raincape alighted on the sidewalk. There was a short discussion between the tall figure on the sidewalk and the driver, and then the hack moved on in the heavy rainstorm. Pamela couldn't imagine who it might be, and was distressed, since Mary Grayson had gone to visit a neighbor, and there was only herself and the other servants in the big house. A moment later she heard the door chime.